Hey, hello everyone and welcome to this video. So today in this video, we will be looking at another activity that we get with the UiPath GenAI Activity Connector, that is content generation. So by the name of the activity, we understand that this particular activity is used to generate a content around a specific topic or specific response that we will be passing to the LLM. So let us look at the input parameter that this particular activity that this particular activity expects, and what are the output that we will get from this particular activity. So as an input, this particular activity expects three mandatory parameters. One is the connection, that the connection we have established in the integration service, right? Second is the name of the model that we want to use. So we have to pass in the model name. Third is the user prompt. So user prompt is something that the user will pass in it. For example, as a user, I want the LLM to generate content around a specific topic or generate a content around how to drop a specific type of email. So this is my user prompt. I am telling LLM what needs to be done. And the system prompt is something which is different. So system prompt is something that defines the role of the LLM in this particular context. So for example, if I am using the LLM to generate an email for the customer service representative, so my role here will be for the LLM is you are a customer service representative. So that whenever I ask something in the use as a user prompt to the LLM, it should not generate any random responses. It should stick to the specific role that I have defined in the system prompt, and it should give me an output based on that particular role only. So this is where we define this is what we define in the system prompt. We define a specific role for that particular LLM, so that it doesn't generate a random context on that particular topic which we have asked for. Once we pass in all these inputs, we get an output which will be generated content. Okay, so that is something we will get from the LLM. So let's head back to the UiPath Studio and see how we can use this particular activity and how we can generate content around this particular activity. So let me just navigate to the UiPath Studio desktop. Okay. So on the Studio desktop, I have used three activities here. One is to pass in the input. So I'm just using an input dialog here where I'll be passing my prompt. Okay. Then second, we have the content generation activity. So in the content generation activity, you can see I have used the integration service connector here, which we have established in the first video. Then I'm using the model name. Here I'm using GPT 5.1. Then this is where I'm passing in my system prompt, right? This is where I'm passing in my user prompt, okay? And this is where I have set up my system prompt, what the role of this particular LLM. So if I open and expand this particular system prompt, you can see the system prompt is you are a helpful customer service representative for an e-commerce company. So I'm telling it the role of this particular LLM and for which particular specific industry it has to hit. Okay. And then I'm also giving it more instruction. So be polite, concise, and professional with its response. Okay. So this is how you define the system prompt for the LLM. Then there are a few other things here you see in the parameters. We have PII detection and we have context grounding as well. So we will not be looking at these two activities at the moment for this particular video, but we will explore what these two things can be used and what these two things can be used for in the content generation activity. Okay. So with all these input parameters passed, we will be getting an out generated text as an output from this particular activity. So if I go to the properties, you can see in the properties, I have top that, yeah. So in this particular output, in the properties, I have top generated text, which is the response I get from the LLM. We have other output text as well, output properties as well, but the mask text and the citation string will be blank because we are not using PI detection or context grounding here. These two variables are used for those activities. And the content generation will give a response in the JSON format where you will get a response about how much tokens were used, what kind of LLM you have used, and all those kind of metadata about the response or the LLM call that you have made. So let us just run this particular activity and I'll show you the prompt that I'll be using. So let me just copy this prompt and I'll just run it. Okay. So as the execution has started and I got a prompt to pass in the input that I have copied. So I'll just put that user prompt. So my user prompt here is that write a professional email response to a customer who is asking about the status of their order for and the order number is 12345. So what this particular content generation will do is it will create or it will draft a response for this particular user prompt. Okay, so let me just click OK. And this is the output that I got. So you can notice that I got the subject as well as I have the LLM has drafted a response for me where I can fill in the data that I need to fill in, right? For example, I can fill in the customer name, the tracking link, and the processing being prepared on shipment, as in the status of that particular order, right? And all these things I can put in here and then send it the response. So this is how you can use the content generation activity to draft or create a content or draft a content and then review it once the LLM response is received. Okay, so with that, let's head back to this slide and let's look at some of the use cases where you can use this particular activity. Okay, so some of the use cases for using the content generation activity would be to create a personalized customer email. So one which we use at the moment, right? So we can also use it for loan offers or sending the reminders, maybe contact renewals or other kind of reminders we can send it to the customers. We can use this particular content generation activity at that place. Then we can use it to generate the product description. So we have some products that are being pushed to the e-commerce website. We can use the LLM to generate an SEO optimized product description for that particular product. Then we can also use this particular content generation activity for personalized marketing campaign. Okay, so that's it for this video. In the next video, we will look at other ways we can use the content generation activity, that is for the PII detection, also for the context grounding. So that's it for this video. See you in next video. Thank you for watching.